My name is Ryan, and I'm the editor-in-chief of CEKU. Today, here we have an exclusive interview with the Chemical Company of Malaysia Group Managing Director, Mr. Leonard Ariff. Thank you so much for doing this interview with us.
My pleasure.
All right, without further ado, we'll just ask a few questions. Some of us might know about the Chemical Company of Malaysia, but some might not. So perhaps, as Group Managing Director, perhaps you can tell us more about your company, about a bit about its history and background, and what it does.
Okay. Actually, the genesis of CCM was the old imperial chemical industry, or what was called ICI in those days. And we started off in Malaysia in 1930, and we went for public listing back in the mid-60s. So from that perspective, CCM is one of the oldest listed companies in Malaysia. So as a company, we are one of the largest manufacturers of pharmaceutical products in Malaysia, but we also have heavy involvement in the chemicals industry, the polymers industry, and something that a lot of people don't realize is we also have exposure in the explosives industry in Malaysia. Then in addition, we've got a fertilizer business as well, but we're re-engineering the company somewhat at the moment, and we're looking at exiting from the fertilizer business.
I see. We'll speak a bit more about the fertilizer business, just to pick up from there later. And then your company is here today at the UKC Graduan Career Fair. And obviously everyone who's here at the fair is looking for talents.
Right.
So perhaps, is there a specific type of talent that CCM is looking for here at the career fair?
Well, generally we tend to look for science graduates specifically. I think you will find that at these sort of career fairs, you've got a huge amount of opportunity in the services side, whether it's banking, whether it's media, whether it's also looking at the big four accounting firms. But we tend to be a little bit more niche. The businesses that CCM get involved in are basically science-based industries. So we tend to look for qualifications, for instance, chemical engineers, we're looking for pharmacists, we're looking for science graduates generally. But of course, we have the support function, so we're also looking for some of the financial background individuals, etc. But we're also employing for some of our marketing roles within the company as well. So, graduates in psychology, etc. may be options depending on the individual characteristics of the potential candidates.
I see. Okay. And CCM in the past is, having done a bit of research, CCM has won several awards in the past, including one where he won for the Best Graduate Employer in the field of manufacturing, especially in chemicals and heavy industry in 2014.
That's right.
So, why do you think, being the group managing director, why do you think that CCM has, such a great track record and being able to, become one of the leading graduate employers in the industry?
Well, I think it goes back to the fact that CCM is in the midst of almost like a corporate re-engineering. In a way, we're trying to, a lot of the businesses that we have are heritage businesses that we've had within the group for the last 20, 30 or so years. And with what we're trying to do at the moment is to be a lot more relevant to what has happened within the industry, within Malaysia, and also regional. From that perspective, we tend to be very particular about looking for a combination of people with science degrees. And in that sense, we're one of the few people who participate in UKAC that is looking for science graduates in particular. But having said that, I think the environment that we give within CCM for a lot of the students is the ability to, irrespective of what your degree, your background degree is, we give you a certain ability to be mobile within the organization. Even the program we call it, for those who we employ through the MyMapper program, through this UKC, is actually called the MyMapper program. And within that program, we actually rotate you. So you may be an engineer, but don't be surprised you find yourself in internal audit, or you find yourself in finance, or in marketing, etc. The basis being that I think when you first graduate, you really don't know enough about the industry to say, this is where my passion lies. Right. You may find that your passion actually lies elsewhere. And in that sense, our program tends to be flexible enough that we have individuals who've come in and with biotech degrees who decided they liked internal audit, for example. And then you had others who were science-based, but preferred the more esoteric art side like marketing, etc. So I think that helps in terms of developing or molding the students who join us to decide on what their future career path will be, whether it's to stay with CCM or to explore other opportunities.
I see. Okay. Then you mentioned earlier, about the whole fertilizing business.
Yep.
You're taking a more sort of different approach to it now.
Yep.
So I think it was in last year, I think, where CCM closed down a fertilizer plant.
Yes.
And then this year you've announced for a strategic decision to
Yep.
sort of exit
That's
that
right.
fertilizer business. Maybe
Yep.
you can expand further on that. How especially is CCM doing? Given the current economic conditions, how has the economy affected CCM?
Okay, I mean, as far as the fertilizer business is concerned, one of the biggest issues is your variable cost of production is very, very high relative to the margins that you can make. One thing that a lot of people don't realize is there's very little protection that's afforded by the government to local industries, because Malaysia is the 24th largest trading nation in the world, and it didn't get there by accident. It's always been a policy of free trade in Malaysia. So you must be able, if you're going to produce in Malaysia, you must be able to be competitive relative to imports. So I think it got to the stage, as far as the fertilizer business was concerned, it was more extraneous factors that really drove the final decision. We found that a lot of companies, because of palm oil prices, CPO prices, they had to try to save as much money, so they traded down to cheaper fertilizers in order to maintain their margins. So it was a combination of a few factors that we made us decide, or the board decide, that we had to take the bull by the horns and make a decision. So it all started in 2014, because 2014 we closed down our Medan operation, 2015 we closed down our Shah Alam operation, and of course in 2016 we decided to do an overall exit from the fertilizer business by offering our 2 remaining plants in Lahadatu and Bintulu for sale to the market. But corporate re-engineering like this doesn't work in isolation. We also had to re-engineer also the type of people we wanted into the organization for purposes of where we saw the company going in future, which was very much innovation and science-led, as opposed to getting involved in the commodity side of the business.
So in that case, where is CCM heading towards, in the future?
Well, in the future, like I said, we'll be very much innovation and science-led. I mean, we're already the largest pharmaceutical manufacturer in Malaysia, so we'll continue with a lot of investment. In the next 5 years, we'll be investing almost 300 million into our businesses. About 200 over million in pharmaceuticals. We're investing another 50 million in our chemicals business. We're investing another 50 million in our polymers business. We're relocating our polymers and explosives business to Nilai. So it's exciting times to be in CCM at the moment. Now, hard decisions had to be made, but that's the nature of running a business.
Yeah. So in that case, how does it then affect, in terms of how you employ people? Is it, you still continue employing, many graduates?
We do. We've reduced it somewhat because of not having fertilizer in the business, in our structure in the longer term. But having said that, we still have to invest in the future businesses of CCM, which will be the pharmaceuticals, chemicals, polymers, etc. So in that sense, if anything, our target recruitment is even sharper now. Because we need to get those individuals who come in who can contribute to where CCM is going to go. I mean, ultimately, with the exit of the fertilizer business, if successful, it will reduce our revenue as a company almost by half, but it will double our profitability. Okay, so we're still bullish about the way forward, especially within the businesses that we have. Of course, it's a different company. CCM tomorrow will be a very, very different company than CCM over the last 30 years. But it's not a bad thing. I think that's the way we need to go.
So more focus, more niche, and
exactly.
more innovation-driven.
That's right, yes.
Okay. And then perhaps just final words, maybe to anyone who's looking to find for a job in CCM, what are the traits, that, they should have, especially if they're going to take on some, a job in CCM?
I think I've always said that what I look out for in any candidates coming to join CCM obviously is attitude, aptitude, and the ability to balance work life with something beyond work life. Work-life balance, I mean, it's a lot talked about. But what I like to see is for those, even within CCM, I encourage my direct reports to get involved in industry organizations, etc., to expand the range of exposure that they do have. So for new graduates coming in, they have to be able to show, one, the right attitude, secondly, the aptitude to learn, because you have to realize when you step out of your undergraduate program or master's program, there's only about 10-15% relevant to what you're going to end up doing. The question is, can you learn the balance 85% on the job?
Right.
And the successful ones are the ones who are able to absorb and learn and contribute at the fastest point.
Right.
So that's the only advice I'll give to any new graduates coming in.
All right. Thank you so much for doing the interview. And,
No, my pleasure, Ryan. Thank you.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you very much.
All right.